I have been asked a lot of questions recently about opening the third eye, psychedelics, and the ones that I have done, and do I recommend them? I'm going to try to address each of those questions in this video. Yes, I have done mushrooms. I've done psilocybin mushrooms, these in particular. I grew up in the South on a dairy farm. I used to play with them when I was a child. I didn't eat them. I was told not to, but I had no problem playing with them. They would grow as big as plates, and I would take and make mud pies, and this would be the meringue on my pie, because that's what it looked like to me. They're white with a little brown nipple. The bottom of them are blue, black, or purple. They come in 3 colors on the bottom. The blue and the purple are pretty, but the black, it's saturated. It's been there longer, and it's far more potent. And they grow right out of the cow poop. Now, this came from India. They're not indigenous to the South, but you'll find them in Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Alabama, all along the Gulf Coast. And they came over here from India. And they were brought here by a guy named Bellingrath, probably unknowingly. What it is, it's just a spore. And when the cow eats it, it ferments literally in the digestive system of the cow. And then when it deposits in the poop, it produces spores, it dies into itself, and it just keeps reproducing. Even after cows are taken out of a field, you can go in and find the mushrooms. Now today, actually, when I was young, they started doing it. They put an antifungal in the cow feed so that when the cow eats it, it destroys the spore, and you can no longer find mushrooms like these in the South. You have to have a cow that's not been vaccinated, given one of the little tags in the ear. That too has the antifungal in it. I think you'll probably find it in the chemtrails if you ask me. They want to destroy all of this. Now, I have a very specific view about psychedelics and about who should do them. In astrology, we relate psychedelics to the mutable cross. It belongs to Gemini and Sagittarius, the masculine arm of the mutable cross, especially Sagittarius. That's the illuminated mind. Now, how does this relate to the third eye and the hypothalamus? To me, you cannot open the third eye to the land of milk and honey on psychedelics. The hypothalamus and the pineal gland are like the tuner and the radio. The old analog tuners where you would turn the dial and you got to tune it in. Well, when you start to have an experience, whether it's with a mind-altering chemical, be it man-made or nature, it tunes to a specific frequency. Psilocybin mushrooms, these are the ones that make you laugh your ass off. The high lasts 4 hours. I don't care how much you do. In 4 hours, you're straight. That means it runs through your kidneys. It flushes through your kidneys. If a high lasts longer, then it's designed to go through your liver. This is what they do with medicines. If they want a medicine to stay in your system longer, they'll put an inert ingredient in it to make it go through your liver. That way, it's in your body all day, and they call it time released. Otherwise, medications tend to flush out of your body in 4 hours. You got to take Tylenol every 4 hours, right? Some people are longer, 4 to 6 hours, depending on your body, how fast your kidneys flush out. To whereas when you do man-made psychedelics, LSD, they add speed to it. So it's going to stay in your body longer. They're going to put something in it to shove through your liver. So a lot of the LSD we had back in the 70s, we had 16-hour window pain. That you were high for, hard high for 16 hours. Purple microdots, orange barrels, way before the little blotter. Blotter acid was not very good compared to the others. It was loaded with speed. So I preferred the natural mushrooms. I actually lived in a cow field. Now, if you want to produce these, all you got to do is get you a cow, preferably a bull. You know, the truth about it, the bull will put off more than the cow will. So you want a bull and a field by itself. That's all it needs. That's all you need. And do not feed it any grain. Don't feed it any grain. Let it be completely grass-fed. Now, this particular spore, like I said, it was brought over here by a guy named Bellingrath, and he did it unknowingly. Just south of Mobile, Alabama, is a place called Bellingrath, Alabama. And it's there because this guy came over here from India, and he brought the indigenous plants of India over here and built a beautiful garden, a lush tropical garden on a river. And he brought with him all the plants from India. So when he brought the plants, he brought the dirt they were in, and that's all it took. And it's literally spread all over the South. They are not indigenous there. They came from India. And there's a story about where the psilocybin came from, that in the last great war on this planet was between the yellow people and the black people. And the Indus Valley got caught in the middle of that. And so to stop the war, the gods filled the rivers with mushrooms and tried to make everybody high. And these are the happy mushrooms, right? Well, people can still have a bad trip on them. And apparently a lot of them did. It went bad. The idea didn't work. It didn't fix the problem. I think that's the same thing they tried to do in Vietnam with the psychedelics, was to see if they could repeat that experiment that was spoken about in the Vedas. Now, to me, when you open your third eye, where you're going to go and what you're going to see depends on your emotional state. I've always said it depends on what chakra you're coming from. What chakra is in power when you open your third eye, or even when you go into meditation. It's like DMT takes you to the machine elves, right? Or psychedelics. This particular one takes you into, let me pause here. Sorry about that, but I knew my dog was fixing to start barking. I heard it before she did. Alright, like I said, the machine elf, DMT takes you to the machine elves. Ayahuasca, you see the serpents, right? Every chemical reaction tells the hypothalamus and the pineal gland what to tune into. The pineal gland, the third eye, is like the screen. It's the hypothalamus that changes the channel. And the hypothalamus vibrates on a frequency. It's your tuner. And depending on what frequency you're vibrating from when you activate the hypothalamus depends on the experience you're going to have. And science knows that we can do that chemically. But it can also be done naturally. I done it naturally, no chemicals. And it was literally just fasting and giving up, letting go. I had a conversation with somebody recently about opening the third eye, and it's hard when you want to go to, anybody can open their third eye. It depends on where you want to go. Now, I went to the land of milk and honey. I mean, I literally walked into another dimension that's all around us right now, and it looks exactly like this one. I was in a cotton field when it happened, and when I stepped to the other side, I was still in the same cotton field. I was just simply at a different dimension frequency. I could see both realms. I was walking in two worlds, the land of milk and honey. And that's the experience where you meet your higher self. That's the experience you want to have. These other ones, when we meet the DMT elves or the serpents in ayahuasca, this is not your higher self. These are other frequencies. Trust me, when you meet your other self, you're going to know it. You're going to know it. I didn't understand at the time that this was my other self. I had told a psychiatrist once that it felt like I was missing my brother, like I was a twin and my brother had died. And then I understood that in the mother's womb, the egg is male and female, and when it gets fertilized, it becomes a boy or a girl, and that if it becomes a girl, then the boy part dies and it goes to live in the pineal gland. If you're that's why it's yin yang. If you're a man on the outside, you're a girl on the inside. Your higher self is opposite who you are. Mine was masculine. It was me, but older, my true age. Now, that's the experience I want everybody to have. That's the life-changing experience. That's the empowering change. But I highly recommend and have recommended the plants that nature has to offer to the different groups. If you're going to do them, I suggest it to people who have certain planets or associations with Sagittarius, because that's what it's about. Sagittarius is the illuminated mind. It's not the philosopher's stone. It's the illuminated mind. It's the peacock. And you get that through the different frequencies of the hypothalamus into the pineal. Now, like I said, different cultures around the world. When I do recommend it, I recommend that, one, you find out your heritage. You need to know what part of the world you come from, because every people was given a different plant. If you're European in mountainous regions, you're going to have the Amanita muscaria. And then you have to know the difference, because there's one that looks like the Amanita, right? But you see how it's longer and not rounder? This is called a Roma. It is not an Amanita. And you can find these all over America, but they're not Amanita. They just look like it's a fake. They call it a Caesar Roma or something like that, and it actually looks like a Roma tomato. It grows oblong, and it doesn't have the psilocybin effect. So for Europeans, this is what they generally had. India had the psilocybin mushroom. Africa has iboga and or iboga and the African dream bean. South America had ayahuasca. The desert Indians had the peyote. There's pot, the cannabis plant, and even tobacco is considered one of these plants that induce a frequency, right? When you're going into meditation, all the great mystics smoked something. And it's to tune that hypothalamus and pineal gland. Another reason why they don't want us smoking. It has to do with the age of Aquarius and the air signs. So you have to know, one, you should have, here's one that is not, you can tell they go from orange to red. They go through a color phase. The they're telling you they're the most poisonous ones. No, the angel of death is the most poisonous one. You can find different types of mushrooms that grow in the wild, but the most powerful ones are the ones that grow right out of the cow poo, and the amanita that is indigenous to, it's symbiotic with trees. What they don't get about the amanita, they think it's symbiotic with the tree, but the spore passes, it's the deer poop, it's the deer urine and the deer poop that do this. You know, if you were to eat mushrooms and pee and you don't have an antifungal enzyme in your body, then wherever you pee, those spores would produce mushrooms, or wherever you pooped. They'll just pass right through you unless your body has an antifungal enzyme in it, and you can just keep reproducing them. A lot of people try to grow them. It's difficult. This is nature's gift, and when we go to tampering with nature's stuff, we always mess it up. You can't. It perfects itself through cycles. That's what the zodiac is about. To me, it's an alchemical magic circle. Its purpose is the philosopher's stone, humanity as one philosopher's stone, turning lead to gold, Saturn to the sun, opening the third eye, your crown chakra. And even the Bible tells us that some will wake up to everlasting life and some to condemnation, because that depends on what frequency you're running on. Now, about walking into the land of milk and honey, that's the one you go to, you don't want to come back. That's the one you want to stay there. Walk in the other world. Walk in the other dimension, the other frequency. And there are many. That one's the one I think we were supposed to be born in. And somehow or another the frequency got changed here a long time ago. But it's fixing to change back. And Aquarius and Fomalhaut have everything to do with that. And so does the collective consciousness. That's why they're hell-bent on controlling all media. They control all media. We know who they are. The opposition. Those who fear us waking up. They don't want us to wake up because they don't want to wake up. If they wake up, they know what their destination is. I believe these people sold out their frequencies, and they can only vibrate in the lower chakras. And so they know their destiny. They know where they go from here, and to get out of that, you have to recycle here. Now, about opening the third eye, going to the land of milk and honey, and being under contract. What do I mean by that? To pass through the eye of the needle, the camel has to get rid of everything and get down on its knees. It's a gate in Jerusalem. They close all the big gates. Only a man could walk through it. So to get your camel through the gate, you had to unload all the baggage off of it. Remember, camel is gimel in Arabic and Hebrew. That means the door. And so when they go through, they unload everything, get the camels down on its knees, and have to scunch it through the gate. And that's a metaphor for you have to let go of everything. You can't have any attachments. And I think that's why it was easy for me as a child, and why you have these cloisters of monks and stuff that practice this, because you don't need a wife, a mate, a child, a job, possessions, anything you're attached to. My heart was used against me. I would have stayed there. I had no attachments. But my heart was used against me to come back for love of another. And that I said I didn't want to stay. There was no love in the home I was in. And I was told if I left, there would truly be no love in that home. And that's the only reason I stayed. And after looking back at it over the years, I feel like I was swindled. I should have stayed. I was told that I needed to stand in the gap for the others. Well, I did stand in the gap. And it's been 50 years later, and it was a disaster. I didn't help them, and I didn't help myself. It was a disaster. So I'm not sure how to take that information, or even if I did the right thing. I don't know what would have happened to that family had I chose not to stay. Maybe it would have been different for them. Who knows? The choice was made. I stayed. Now I'm just going to share what information I have, and you take it and do with it what you will. But it's hard to walk through that eye of a needle when you are married, when you love someone, especially your children. It's like that's how they recycle us here. We die, and they tell us to go into the light, and they tell us your loved ones, right? You want to go back, or you have to go back. All these stories of being convinced that we need to come back. If I ever face with that opportunity again, I will walk through the other door. I don't think I'll come back for any reason. I don't see how I could affect this reality that much. The circle is all powerful. It's going to do what it wants to do regardless. They can't fight it. They're trying, but it's not going to do any good. They have worshipped the great architect, and now they are confronted to having to deal with the alchemist. Because that's what the next stage is about. It's about alchemy, astrology, and karma. You reap what you sow. There'll be no more favoritism for them, for they. There'll be no more nepotism. There'll be no more, I was born into it. None of that's going to be around. You will get exactly what you earn and what you deserve. We will be in the time, in alchemy it is called the law of equivalent exchange. Currently in Pisces, in this age of grace, everybody wants justice. I'm sorry, there is only criminal justice in this age. There is no justice for the victim. We are only the criminal. We are on the mutable cross. But we're coming to that fixed cross. And the ones ruling this mutable cross are trying to hijack and take that power. They know where it lies. We know exactly where every cross has 4 power points. Actually, 3 power points and a head, a central command. It's like a triangle with a dot in the middle of it, really. But it's a cross, like the fixed cross. Christ is at the top. He has 3 nails, 3 power points that they nail down, and then the crown of thorns, right? He needs to turn those thorns into the crown of gold, turning Saturn to the sun. They didn't even give him lead. They gave him thorns. Well, that's just the triple star system of Fomalhaut, and it represents the 2 eyes and the third eye. That is, the Fomalhaut system is the Giza Plateau. The lion is Leo, the man is Aquarius, it is the masculine, the Sphinx is the masculine axis of the fixed cross. And one day, that sun is going to rise in the spring equinox, and it's going to shine right between the eyes of the Sphinx. And to me, that's the day that everybody's third eye opens to the land of milk and honey. Everybody living at that time, and because it's natural, right? You don't have to do a 5G frequency. You don't have to do psychedelics, man-made or plant-wise. It's going to come from the heavens. It's going to be a frequency that changes the sun and then changes everything the sun touches. Which mushrooms are killed by the sun, by the way? they only generally live for a day if they're in direct sunlight. If they get shade, they can live for a few days, but depending. And it's that way with a lot of fungi. It's fungi. It's the fun guy. The fun guy. And they're androgynous, right? It starts out as a phallic, and then it bursts into a breast, the feminine, and then it turns into the Holy Grail or the cup. The different stages of the metamorphosis of the fungi. And then it dies back into itself and reproduces all over again. It's the phoenix out of the ashes. There are many psychedelics. Let's do psychoactive mushrooms. These that grow in the woods like this, they're not nearly as grandiose as the ones that grow in the cow poop. They're pretty small. They're not real potent. But the ones that grow in the cow poop, wow, they are super potent. I used to do them all the time when I lived in the South. And it's something you really don't want to do all the time, because you just can't handle it. But they say laughter's the best medicine, and truly, I've never laughed so hard in my life. We used to take them, they look like this, we used to take them and boil them. You boil them in water. That way because they grow in cow shit, right? So we always took them and boiled them in water, and we would add it to Kool-Aid. And cherry Kool-Aid or tropical punch Kool-Aid. And when you added the dark water of the mushroom, because of that blue psilocybin, it would turn, the Kool-Aid would look like blood. And we would even throw chunks of the mushroom in the Kool-Aid. And we called it dragon's blood. We were just kids. I'm talking 13, 14, 15 years old when I first started doing them. But yeah, we called it dragon's blood. And the thing about them, in the South, they produce year-round, every day. As long as the sun didn't come out, the temperature, there needed to be humidity and temperature. And it's very much like India. That's why when the guy brought it over here, that it spread through the South along the Gulf Coast. That area down there, the temperature is correct, the humidity is correct for this particular spore to just take off. But it doesn't get much further than the Mason-Dixon line, right? When you start getting above that 33rd parallel, the environment changes and it's no longer good for the psilocybins. But this is what they look like. And they get big as a plate. And I'm talking huge plates, like pizzas. Big old pizzas. And they're thick, hardy mushrooms. The caps are firm and hard. They're not all flimsy and hollow. They have depth and body to them. And they taste like dirt. If I'd have known as a child, I grew up around these things all the time. And, of course, told not to play with them, don't eat them. I played with them anyway, but I never ate them. Had I known. Because then they weren't putting the antifungal in the cow feed. And they were just literally everywhere. You couldn't walk in the cow field without stepping on them. But even if you'll notice, when you do go into the woods and you're scouting for mushrooms, you're going to find them in decay. They breed in decay. That's why feces immediately sets into decay back into the ground. And that's what it's going to be, where some animal has died, or a tree died, or an animal has pooped or peed, the urine. and that they pass through. And that's what I know about mushrooms and a lot of others. I actually have an African dream being. I haven't done it yet. I've been sitting on it for quite a while, waiting for the appropriate moment to do it. I have my Mercury in Sagittarius in my natal chart. That's the only connection I have. I actually have Jupiter in Pisces and Mercury in Sagittarius on the mutable cross. So I do have a connection to Sagittarius and the psychedelics. I've got a knot in my hair I'm trying to get out while I'm sitting here talking to you, and it's because I think I'm making it more of a mess. It's actually getting worse instead of better. I don't know what goes on when I sleep, but I get up with these. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like jigsaw puzzles in my hair. I need to cut it. Oh well. So, those of you, who want to open your third eye, and you are married or have children, and you want this, but it's just not conducive for your life right now, that's okay. You can still meditate and go into the higher realms. And what you do is you practice at it. That way, when you're older, when you've hit your second Saturn return, when your marriage is over, your children are grown and gone, then your life is your own. You get to that point, then you'll be ready. And you'll be well versed. I wish I would have known about all of this before I opened mine. I would have done it all differently. But I had no information. I didn't know what was happening. I accepted it wholly, innocently, with the mind of a child. I didn't even question it. When I tried to talk about it, I was shut down. Anytime I tried to bring up, whether it was at home or at school or anywhere, that I wanted to talk about what happened to me, I was shut down, beat down. No. That's not allowed. And I think that upset me the most. Is why not? What's wrong with it? It was a wonderful experience. Why is it so evil to you? I don't understand the collective. The collective is all still asleep to me. God put Adam to sleep and he never woke him up. And I'm not sure. And to me it was not the God you think that put him to sleep. We have different gods here. There's more than God and Satan. God and Satan are simply freaking titles. They're just titles. They're just hats that really anybody can wear. A God is just a ruler. Just a ruler. So is a Satan, a Satan. He's just a ruler. Supreme authority, but that is far from creator. When we talk nature, they are just aspects of nature. One aspect against itself. Nature eats itself. Everything, just like the mushroom does. It dies into itself and it grows back out of the dead spores it dropped. Just like the tree does. The tree drops the seed into the ground and the next tree grows. This planet it recycles itself. Nothing is ever gained and nothing is ever lost. You can't find something that was never lost. It's just recognizing that it's been there all the time. It's like walking around. I do this often. I get ready to leave and I'll walk around looking for my sunglasses and I can't find them anywhere. And they're on my head. I've already set them on my head and of course I can't see them. That's why we can't see the 13th sign. We're standing on it. We're it. It's like, tag, you're it. Alright, there's my take on psychedelics. What I know about psilocybins. I've never done Amanita. I'm I understand it's a completely different trip, that each mushroom has a different frequency that's going to tune that hypothalamus to a different station, and you'll see a different image on the third eye screen. And that's my take on it. Alright, I think everybody should do psilocybin once in their lifetime. I know it's not indigenous to this country or to my peoples, but I thoroughly enjoyed it every time I did it. It is the best comedy show of your life. Now, I have seen people have bad trips. I advise don't do them at night. This is a daytime trip. You don't want to do psychedelics at night. It can go south on you. You want to do them in the daytime, in the light of day, outside, in nature. You want to be a part of where it came from. And then this whole other realm opens up to you, and the trees start talking to you, and the flowers start talking to you, and you connect with everything, and it's really beautiful. But it's still not the land of milk and honey. It's still not that crown chakra. It's just a different, like a different jewel. In a crown, there are many jewels. It's like we have a zodiac on our head. We have a crown of a zodiac on our head, and there are 12 different stones. And each stone has a different frequency. And when we hit that third eye, you want the correct stone. You want the stone the builders rejected. Alright. It's time to stop just committing a random act of kindness and to become the kindness. Just be kindness. Just like Bethlehem tells you to be the lamb, be the kindness. Be Thalem. Be the master of your own life. And just make this world a better place. One happy heart at a time. One smile. Just one thank you will make all the difference in the world. And if this channel has helped you in any way, please consider making a donation. You'll find the information that you need in the description box below the video. Also in the description box, you're going to find some great links. A lot of you are asking me questions to where if you'll just look in those links, I've already provided the answer as to why Mercury is called Buddha. Because in about 6 different languages, that's what they call Mercury, Buddha. And it is for a reason. Alright, I love you all. Let's start today in your own life and make it better than yesterday and make tomorrow better than today.